Hello, welcome to my channel. I just thought it might help to have a yarn while I sort of study here. Study. It essentially is study, but it's not. This is just personal study or self-study, this is just something I am choosing to learn about or care about, and therefore learning more about it is important, worthwhile. I don't really see how you get away from the topic as truth, and more anchored on what do I do with Christianity's stake in truth, because I don't feel qualified to comprehensively, currently comprehensively debunk Christ, the Bible, Christianity, totally. And also, I want to put myself out there online to sort of broaden my social horizon, my social and intellectual horizon, or network and connections, because I'm pretty limited in my physical locale on with who I can speak to, and to what degree of regularity and to what degree of intensity. Obviously, I'm somewhere where, I live in New Zealand, I live in the South Island, I'm based in Canterbury. Obviously I can freely worship, I can freely go and participate in Christianity. I'm not in a country that doesn't allow that. That's an interesting thing. It's interesting that Christianity is condemned in a lot of places. It can be, politics can, and powerful people can, the West doesn't always think about, the West can be quite negative towards Christianity, but from the perspective of other countries in the world, it being illegal to participate in Christianity or whatever, or people can be seriously condemned, people can be killed. I think the secular Western world or non-Christian Western world could appreciate that perspective of Christianity a bit more. What's that about? Why is it, why do certain leaders or certain political systems find Christianity that threatening that they make it sort of illegal or whatever? That's an interesting perspective to kind of talk about or discuss. But I guess that's kind of a side area, another area I would I have more primary interests in the perspective of truth. That's very interesting. That can maybe come into that and integrate into the sort of central discussion that is truth. That is kind of part a little bit of a distraction on the focus of getting to grips of truth, getting to the grips of what truth is. I guess this journey I'm kind of going on with Christianity is in part developing me intellectually, or it's kind of forcing my hand a little bit it's not forcing me, but there really isn't any other option better than to develop my intellectual ability and my knowledge of what truth is. And and what I mean by that, it's kind of prompting me to get to grips with a better understanding of what philosophy, the likes of philosophy, says about truth, how to understand, the word epistemology, which is the theory of truth or the theory of knowledge or something. It's just broadening my intellectual horizons, and I seek to connect with other people on a similar journey, or people on both sides of the coin of what do we do about this Christ, this figure that is Christ, that who is he is an, I think culturally we don't, like, I think there is a portion of society that don't realize that Christ is a legitimate person or was a legitimate person in history. Like, it's pretty well accepted by scholars that he did in fact live. And I don't think everyone knows that. I think sometimes people think he is perhaps simply a fictional figure, and that's not true, or it's certainly not. You're free to push back on that, but it's certainly widely accepted that he in fact did live. The nature of his actual life and the way the Bible depicts it is maybe another thing. To what degree did each and every miracle happen? Did that all occur literally? Because if it did, then that does argue this position of him being God or Son of God or whatever, like a sort of deity above the norm of being a human. I guess my journey has, I would just also like to speak just to try and, because I can get a bit lethargic with the whole process of it. I can get a bit tired of it. Like, I would like to talk just in a sort of diary entry way, in that, like, I'm able to find myself in a more positive status with the whole thing, because, like, it is a bit enduring. Like, there is endurance to kind of, like, the intellectual process of it. It's like, philosophy's an enormous topic, and it's like, I'm just some basic amateur, I definitely have an ability to listen to intellectuals, but the degree to which I am an intellectual, or anyone like that, I would say I have much to develop in my own self to call myself in like a proper intellectual person. But I definitely have intellectual qualities, or I think a lot about stuff, but yeah, to the degree that I'm sort of an intellectual academic, I would say an exceptionally amateur novice, if one at all. But I don't think that means not to, like, go on the journey of it. I wouldn't shut myself out of that bracket of people. And so basically where I'm at, I feel I accept that I've kind of banged into philosophy in some kind of pretty significant way recently, where it's kind of like, to understand truth more deeply, or what is meant by truth, I think I'm going to have to develop my understanding of philosophy, one, and then science, and where the two kind of come together, where does science, this empirical truth, and then there's I'm so, I think it's positive for me to kind of discuss my journey, because I think it will help me to develop, or to try, it'll help expose where my weak patches are as well, or where there is need of development. I'm trying to understand, I've grokked Dr. James Orr, and I've been kind of honing in on James Orr a bit lately. I'd really like to, that sort of barrier. It's like, what do you do with scientific truth? There's these three sort of main factions, I think, that sort of become difficult or challenging or problematic in the space of accepting Christ as true, or in my own self, but I think as a culture, I think you've got the problems of morality, being a good person, or what is good and bad, and then that, the Christian view of that being centered on Christ, and then other people believing, non-Christians believing that you can still be good. I find that a complex. I think there's complexity there. There's a lot to unearth there. The other one is sexuality. I feel, and I don't mean just in like the space of like homosexuality and shit like that. Like I mean Christianity is very restrictive on what it, on the framework in which you conduct yourself sexually. Like it, I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad what it suggests, but it's definitely not as liberal as society has come to be. You know, like casual sex or like sex outside of marriage, even if you're in a committed relationship, is a no-no. You know, like some or plenty of Christians maybe argue against masturbation and shit like that. Homosexuality is obviously out for the most part if you're Christian. I think that's one of the biggest that's one of the biggest factors for the non-Christian secular world is the sexuality. Even just in you know, like, yeah, like I think even people like for the likes, I'd even say like someone who's not homosexual would reject Christianity based on the fact that Christianity doesn't accept homosexuality. You know, like even if it didn't like implicate them and their sexuality personally, I think they would reject it on the behalf of other people. And so like that's a major one in today's society, I reckon, why people reject Christianity. And I feel like it just comes back to me that the superseding topic is truth. Because if Christianity is true, then that does bring into question your sexual behavior. And truth matters whether you like it or not. And I would say majority of people who are just rebutting it or rejecting it on the basis of like, no, I want to have sex whenever I want to have sex and with whoever I want to have sex with. Like, I just like don't think that's like I can appreciate that you want your sexual liberty, but like on what grounds are you rebutting Christ? Like just out of pure like I feel like you like I would encourage people to develop their rejection of Christ more thoroughly or more comprehensively in that like you like because saying like no I just want to fuck, like I just don't feel like that's a thorough enough, like I get it but like I just don't think like it's a good enough rejection of what Christianity is. You know, like it's getting at like to reject Christianity, I like totally I think you're going to have to be a bit more thorough than that. But I can definitely understand how that would come in as a big factor for being like I don't want fucking anything to do with this. Yeah, and then there's the morality one, and then I feel like yeah, like there's the truth thing, which just kind of comes into science, and then I just feel like science at some level does bang into philosophy, and that's where my biggest issue with it, I would say, it is an intellectual issue, like and just based on the sort of truth premise, or just trying to understand it from the perspective of truth, or like trying to just really like hash a lot of that area out more, just so I can just because like I don't really have good reason to sort of land on either side of the equation of like, you know what I mean? Like I can't really fully be like Christ isn't true, like because I think there's a lot of deeply compelling stuff about Christianity and Christ and the historicity of it, like, you know, like it's like okay, like to what degree do I reject it if I do reject it, kind of thing. Like I just feel like there's a lot of work for me here to do, but I just do get lethargic about it. But like because it's just like, you know, it continues to be something I'm confronted by, like in reality. Like it's like I don't have the answers to shut this down. Like, I don't know how to be like, I don't know how to believe that Christ literally walked on water, like, which is what believing in Christ would be. Like, it's like, I don't know how I'm meant to believe that. Like, without any doubt. Like, with certainty, just like the certainty that's required to believe in the Christian thing. Like, yeah. I also just question, like, the quality of, like, I just really question Christians in that, like, I don't know that the way they are with their lives really reflects the implications of their belief. Like, it's like, you guys believe someone walked on water. Like, where is the evidence in you, the way you are living your life? Like, where is the evidence of you, because like Christianity asks a lot of you in the way that you live your life and stuff. And it's like, you are to be living your Christian faith as like sufficient that it like appeals to, like, like, you're meant to be living your life on a daily basis that reflects that gravity was defied. And I have no idea what that would even look like. Like, the kind of faith, the lived outness of a faith that's claiming that. I don't know. I don't think Christians are really getting that. Like, I don't think it's evident, and I don't think they're really computing the nature of what they're believing, like, at all. Like, like, it's just like, what? Anyway, I don't know. What are other people's thoughts? That might just be it for now. Well, I guess, like, what I was trying to do was record and then, like, try and maybe, like, help it to, like, I was hoping that recording might help me to, like, focus on what I'm trying to fucking study here. Yeah, but maybe I'll just post it. Bye.